Inspirational Creatives, episode 194. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here and welcome to another short action episode of Inspirational Creatives. In episode 193, I spoke with glass artist and craftsman Gary Genetti. In that episode, we discussed many things, including how he has sustained a living for over 40 years as an artist. In the next few minutes, we're going to explore why mastering our own deep creative work, the work that we are drawn to do, is so important for us and the world that we live in today. To begin, if you're interested in creating a living from your creativity, here's Gary from episode 193. Sharing why he believes it's important for him to evolve as an artist.
The idea of growing or evolving as an artist was always very appealing to me. And I basically have to say, my career, I started more as an artisan making gifts to learn my skills because I didn't really even go to school for glass. I went to art school, but didn't study glass at all. And I found that by learning as I went along and getting the appreciation from an audience to keep expanding my skills, it was a wonderful process of evolution and right to be able to maintain my life as an independent artist for almost 40 years now. So
Gary has been able to develop a career as an independent artist for over 40 years. Only very few people can sustain a living as an artist unless, as Gary suggests, they adapt. He reveals that he began his career by making gifts to learn his skills, and by developing a relationship with his audience and through their appreciation, he has found a way of learning to evolve as an artist. Although nowadays Gary connects with people online, in the early days it was very much about meeting them face to face.
For me, it was that face to face, which is not so common these days because of the technology. We're marketing more online than in a face to face way. And for me, doing shows was definitely very for personal growth and learning how to. I was a very shy person, a shy artist when I first started, but it was very much a growth process for me to put myself out there, talk to people about what I did, and learn from the audience. I saw my work through their eyes and the excitement and enjoyment, and that exchange is just so important. It's more and more difficult to have that in a way because of the internet, but what we're doing now with the podcast, it's a wonderful thing to be able to get in depth and tell your story to other people, and you never know who's listening, so it's always an exciting thing for me to be able to talk about my work, either in a show setting or in a detailed setting like we're doing now with an interview.
The exchange between his work and his audience, for Gary, is extremely important. Acknowledging that the world has changed since his early career, what hasn't changed for Gary is learning from his audience and finding ways to connect with them. In Gary's early career, sharing his work at shows was one of the ways that he was able to meet his audience. And through that face-to-face connection, he was able to develop a deep connection, learning what inspired them. In episode 193, Gary revealed how he was able to connect and develop a deeper connection with his own audience.
I grew into selling my own work, and I really highly recommend that. It's a challenge for many people to start selling your own work, but with the new media, the social media, being out there, it makes it really a lot easier than we had it to put your images and yourself out there in some way that's in a positive and growing light, and gaining encouragement not only from different followers on Instagram or social media, wherever, to really connect. And I think that's what's so important, is to be able to connect not only with other creative people, because that's what nurtures your own creativity, is that yes, this is a possible, I can make a living at this, and if I keep going, and it's definitely a struggle to gain the confidence to do that. But the opportunities now I see is for moving from artisanal to artist are much, much greater. When I started, say, in art school, they said being something where other than a teacher or a strictly gallery artist was frowned upon. I mean, you just didn't go off and do something with the crafts or start making mugs and ceramics. You didn't do that without people saying, "Oh, he's sold out. He's not an artist anymore. This is not." But the attitudes, fortunately for me, I had to let go of all that because I just said, I just want to be creative. I'm going to do whatever it takes to establish myself and learn the skills that I need to learn and grow personally. Along with that, to be able to talk about my work to other people, not just in an extended way, but in a very simplified way, and be able to stand there in my booth was a great option to have my work be surrounded by my work. So it was visually a very wonderful experience for somebody coming in to see a lot of my work, and they can look at what's interesting to them, and I can help them see it in a more clear way. Those are all challenges. It's a lot of work to do shows like that on your own. It's a lot of work to be an independent artist, but I personally think it's really not the only way, but it's the safest way to try and have a career in the arts is to freelance.
Gary reminds us that the world has changed. No longer do you need to be a teacher or a creative in the corporate world, in Gary's case as a gallery artist, to be taken seriously as a creative professional. Gary decided early on that he was going to be creative as a glass artist. He courageously dedicated his life to his art. Gary grew into selling his own work, and through this process was able to grow his audience whilst developing a deeper connection with them.
And I was fortunate to find an audience through this cultural movement. But now the process of building an audience, I'm taking all the skills that I learned in my experience, and then applying them right next door, applying them right where I live. And that is a recent trend, this idea of buying local, keeping local, thinking locally, acting local, thinking globally. All those things are somewhat trendy phrases, but they're also very real because community begins with the family and then outgrowth of a positive attitude towards life. And in the States, at least, when there is so much division in the world for all the reasons that we all know, to project a positive, growing, inclusive, non-judgmental attitude towards the world is what attracts. And there's a real hunger for that with the young people particularly. I mean, the politicians can say what they want in terms of a future to believe in, but the real future to believe in is within yourself.
The world is hungry for community and deeper connection. As Gary puts it, younger people are growing up in a divided world which is craving a positive, inclusive and non-judgmental attitude. By involving ourselves in work that has deep meaning to us, we can make a difference to the lives of others and those in our community. Gary also reminds us that community begins with the family, and true art and meaning can be found within ourselves. Taking all of the skills that he has learned throughout his career, Gary, today, is applying what he knows right where he lives, whilst embracing the digital revolution of connecting with anybody, anywhere, to share his art.
That was part of the initiative to go out and do the recycle glass thing with my family. Was a healing journey to give us all something that we could work together on and catch this new wave of things. The idea of recycling or upcycling, we call it, making something even more beautiful out of a broken thing, a waste material that's been broken. All those themes became very important to me and my family, and I personally think in our culture, in the States here, it's really, things are very broken in many ways, and there's so much division within the culture that have the idea of coming together and collaborating and making things together is such a healing thing. And that really needs to expand out into the world in my mind. And that's been my focus for the last few years, to be able to do that, bring it out into the world and be able to heal some of these divisions that are in the culture in a very positive way that don't require all the political stuff and all the money and everything. It just needs people to be more active in their life.
Being more active and involved in our work, our communities and in our life can create a process of healing and can create meaning for ourselves and others. Focusing on our art, our craft and our creative work can present multiple benefits both internally and externally. Externally, for Gary, coming together as a community and collaborating with others are some of the keys to healing the divisions in society that are emerging in the world around us. Internally, focusing on our creative work, finding ways to express what has true meaning to us, be it through glass, podcasts, photographs, paintings, music, or even the written word, helps us to develop our own inner resilience, confidence, and strength while instilling it in others.
I think we're born with an innate sense of creativity, but unless it's really nurtured and really allowed to become a part of our lives, that inner strength that comes from it, you speak of inspiration, well, there's an inner strength and openness to life that is fed by this inspirational quality that comes from a higher source in some way that I can't really identify, but I know it's there. And I know it gives me strength to keep going even when the money's difficult or the physical difficulties. For me, it's really been the source of who I've become in this life. And to me, there's no greater reward than to have that inner strength, the connection with not only with the community, but an inner connection with a real creative source that is our birthright. Honestly, I feel it's our birthright as human beings to be connected with that. And everybody has their own path to find that.
Everybody has their own path. There is no greater reward for Gary than connecting with his community and his inner source of strength, his true creative nature. Gary finds strength from his creativity, and through his art, he is able to inspire others within his family, community, and beyond.
The resilience to maintain an active sense to who I am and what I do. And no matter what comes along, there's a creative way, an inspirational way to keep moving forward. And when that becomes a primary ingredient in your life, it's a very positive feeling, and it's just something that I fall back on, and I have fallen back on when things were very difficult.
Although being true to ourselves is risky business, Gary's story proves that through mastery, courage, and commitment, life as an artist or as a creative professional is not only possible, but healing and rewarding. The world has changed a lot during Gary's career as an independent artist, but what has remained are two things. One, a deep sense of strength for Gary, which stems from his own inner creative nature. And two, a deep sense of purpose and connection through the exchange with those with which he shares his creative work, his family, his audience, and his community. To wrap up then, Gary has reminded us that following our curiosity and developing a profession from our creative abilities can be risky business. But it also can be tremendously rewarding and healing for many. A deep connection with our creative work can help us to better understand ourselves and our life. It can be a deep well of strength. And sharing our creative work is an opportunity to connect more deeply with others. So I'd like to ask you, where is your curiosity leading you today? How are you maintaining an active sense of who you are and what you do? Finally, what today inspires you? Let me know by reaching me at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there. If you'd like to hear more of Gary's story, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com and look for episode 193, or connect with Gary at genettiglass.com. That's GENETTI glass.com.